hopefully the game plan that you can have.
You're running full speed, but the markets are faster. Quasar Markets Live brings the world's top financial minds to you. Everything you need to know in one place. Learn from elite educators and gain a competitive edge, leveling the playing field for you. Join the conversation. Quasar Markets Live.
Good morning, Quasar Markets Live. Howard here. How's everybody doing? CPI data just came in. It is a little less than expected. It was expected to rise about 2.5%. Came in at 2.4%. Market seems to like it so far. We were red across all the futures coming in. And we now see, at least on the side, if we look at the ETFs, they're moving to the upside. NASDAQ through the QQQ just went positive, up 11 basis points here. SPY up about 8 basis points, and the same with the Dow Jones. We'll get more info here on the data pretty quickly, but it's not a big move one way or the other. It doesn't seem like. I did see quickly Bloomberg announced there's more now, a 30% probability of a Fed cut rate by April and more than 80% chance by June. So it does look like that's getting a little bit of love here so far. We'll see if that continues. You know, the things to keep an eye on here that we look at first thing in the morning is the volatility index. What's going on with volatility this morning? And it is coming down. We were up around 22 here on the VIX, the VIX, and we have dropped down below the $21 level. Not a big move. Again, it wasn't really all that big of a CPI movement one way versus the others. I am seeing some of the stuff come in, prices over last year. So this would be the big ones here. Gas and utilities, plus 9.8%. Electricity, oh, not gas and utility, gas utility, so nat gas, 9.8%. Electricity, 6.3%. Food away from home, up 4%. Let me put this into our banners. That would probably make things a lot easier here. Hold it 1 second. There we go, coming across. So again, it looks like gasoline being down about almost 7.5% versus last year's, and fuel oil down about 4.2 really are the two things that have gone negative, along with used cars are down. If we look food at home at plus 2.1, not too bad. Shelter still more expensive by 3%, medical care by almost 4%, food away from home by 4%. So a little bit there. We'll see what we get here. Do we get an actual move to the upside? Does this give a little bit of breathing room? It seems like the market's trying to digest it. Like I said, the first move was to the upside. First move is usually incorrect. We'll see if that's the case. But first move on the NASDAQ, on the SPY, on the Dow were all to the upside. Same thing. I was watching Bitcoin at the time. First move was definitely the upside there. We'll see if that continues or if that reverses. Ethereum also moves to the upside to start off. After that, what are we watching for today? Continuation. Can we get a continuation here is going to be the question. Why is my trading view giving me a hard time? Looks like I'm going to have to shut down and restart that. So give me 1 second here. Sometimes it likes to give itself a little bit of a problem. There we go. Now it's coming back here. So again, first move on Ethereum right up to about that 1980 resistance, pulled back. Same thing with Bitcoin. Made that initial first nice pump up. These were weaker this morning. Gold is back below 5,000. We did see a rotation. We did see a little bit of a different take on metals over the last 24 hours, as you can see. Pulled back pretty sharply yesterday, trying to rebound a little bit today. CPI seems to be helping that. Same thing with silver, moving back towards its highs of the morning here after a pretty weak day yesterday. Their gas or oil, I should say, WTI and Brent both are up slightly now. They were down before those CPI data numbers. So we'll see from there. What else did I have for us? See how much things have changed. Absolutely. Earlier this morning when I was doing some watch lists, all of the sectors of the S&P were in the red. We now see more of them in the green than in the red. Utilities have gone positive. Tech has gone positive. Consumer staples has gone positive. Industrials has gone positive. And so has healthcare, financials, and real estate. So outside of communication, discretionary, and materials, the other sectors have now gone into the green. So a nice takeoff here, quite honestly, from that. Nice little move to the upside by these. We'll see how it plays out throughout the day. Again, a lot of times what I would tell you is that first move, which was to the upside, is the move that gets reversed. But, you know, there wasn't a huge change from what we were expecting there. We'll say there was some weakness overnight. The Nikkei got hit pretty hard. It definitely had, you know, a little bit of a software sell-off. It started yesterday. You know, we know that the IGV ETF's down 31%, and Citi is calling it a software horror show. Investors are recalculating the terminal values for these companies. They aren't worried about earnings today. Those have been fine. They're worried that AI is going to cannibalize that software business models 5 years from now. Apple lost $200 billion in value in a single day. Pinterest is down 20% this morning. The market is becoming incredibly picky about who survives this AI shift. It's not all red, though. We see some companies moving up nicely. Applied Materials, AMAT, Alpha, Mike, Alpha Tango is up around 11% today. If you want to know who's winning the AR war, look at the people selling the shovels. Their CEO, Gary Dickinson, sees 20% growth. Another one that I didn't have on my radar as being one to watch for such an earnings beat and jump is Rivian, RIVN, up about 26% also here today. They're actually making money on the cars they build now, and that's a big pivot for them. Their earnings came in here today. with a top line revenue of about 1.29 billion, so a little up from expectations. And then again, they're actually making money now this time. So for the first time, we're seeing that. Few things that also you can't keep your eyes off of is the gold at 49.90, knocking at the door of that $5,000 level. Silver's up nearly 3%. People are definitely riding in hard assets. We also want to watch Amazon today. They're under pressure after their Super Bowl ad yesterday. Their ring division just cut ties with Flock Safety. There's a lot of heat on big tech right now regarding surveillance and government contracts. With that being said, Palantir under pressure again today. And I also do want to remind you here in the intro, Friday, finally Monday is a holiday. So keep that in mind. Liquidity might start to dry up quick on a holiday weekend. And the other reason I bring that up is we will not be here on Monday. So you'll be flying solo on Monday. What else are we looking at so far today? Let's take a look at the biggest. Well, let's take a look at the Mag 7 first. So we are seeing a nice little bounce back here over the last half hour or so. NVIDIA bounced down just before CPI to about 185.90, but a nice little bounce back there since the CPI data came out. Microsoft was already coming off of the lows at around 630, continuing to see upside momentum. So, yesterday was a rough day for the indices as all of the Mag 7 was down. It's tough for the rest of the market to recover when the leaders are, in the red. And that was the case for the indices. So if we can see a turnaround today by some of these, we could start to see things really move to the upside. Apple, as I mentioned, had a rough day, down 5%. It was its biggest down day in over a year, and erased, as I said, 200 billion or so from their bottom line. Amazon, rough day. Also, yesterday was rough so far in the pre-market. Big concern there is they did a Super Bowl ad, and in there they had a thing on how folks could find their dogs if they, happened to break out of the yard, and it happened to be using the ring. Big mistake. Many people flock. I can tell you from my experience here and where I live, where they're under a lot of pressure as folks are not so thrilled and don't want them, sort of in their backyard, I guess is the way you'd term it. But they, with that being said, they did a Super Bowl ad. It focused on that. It did not go well for them from that. So they're definitely under pressure. We do have one of mine, Coinbase, from my side of the woods, had a big turnaround here, up about 8.6% since earnings. Got a nice bullish engulfing candle on the daily chart, erasing yesterday's 7.9% loss. And it's an interesting one because, as I said, the quarterly results were weakened relative to the third quarter because of market conditions. We know Bitcoin's price has been under pressure as it's fallen sharply from last year's record high and has slid another 16% so far year to date. Coinbase reported a loss of $2.49 a share, while revenue was down almost 22%. Still had revenues of 1.78 billion, which was right around where revenue estimates were from analysts. For the full year, revenue rose to 6.9 billion and net income was 1.3 billion. Brian Armstrong, their CEO, said that 2025 was a strong year for the company, with Coinbase One subscriptions reaching 1 million and double the trading volume and market share of 2024. He said that they are in the pole position to capitalize on whatever 2026 has in store. Good morning there, Azora. They came in actually better than expected, but by a hair. Better by a hair. So that's what we're looking at so far. And then on Coinbase, they did say subscriptions and service revenue dropped 3% from third quarter, and transaction revenue fell 6%. Coinbase expects first quarter subscriptions and service revenue of 550 million to 630 million. So again, market is happy. I guess people thought that earnings would be even worse with the crypto downtrend. It wasn't. So good for Coinbase. It has been moving up nicely since that news. I started to mention it in the open too. Applied Materials up 11.35% here this morning. That's as they beat both top line revenue and EPS. Another sign that the chip making equipment companies are some of the big beneficiaries. Again, this is one of the shovels in that space. Their quarterly earnings and guidance were both ahead of expectations. Their CEO, Gary Dickinson, said that the company expects semiconductor business to grow by more than 20% this year. With the accelerated growth of AI end markets, they believe that global semiconductor industry revenues can potentially reach $1 trillion in 2026, he said in his prepared remarks. So that strong growth outlook echoes messages we just heard from fellow chip manufacturing equipment companies, right? ASML had that same type of report. Lam Research, LRCX, also had that same type of report, that the rise of AI is creating a boom within the sector. Applied Materials shares had almost doubled in the past 12 months through to Thursday's close, so add another 11% to that. And again, you know, what I get out of that message from earnings so far is that AI has triggered a long duration growth catalyst, which usually provides unusually long demand visibility. So we'll see how it goes. Some of the analysts have come in. I saw that, I think it was Barger, moved it to 450 here from 380. So pretty big upgrade, trading at 366 today. But that has them moving up really well so far. One we talked about that dropped the other day, Moderna, mRNA, had earnings and has actually rebounded up about 1.02% after a narrower than expected loss. The company posted a fourth quarter loss of about $2.11 a share on revenue of 678. Yeah, Applied Materials, they took off for sure. Analysts had expected a loss of $2.54 a share and revenue of 635 million, according to FactSet. The stock was down in the pre-market before it started to rise. Their shares are up about 36%. I think, what is it now? Yeah, 35% year to date. So they've had a good rebound from there. But again, if you're really tied to vaccines, you've got about 2 more years to wait before you really see a sentiment change that you can bank on, in my personal opinion. Another one that had great earnings was Arista Networks, right? Up about 8.3% also here today. They had an earnings top line revenue beat and quarterly EPS beat. The company maintained its forecast for about 63% gross margins this year. So that eased a little concerns of higher memory prices. You know, so could this maybe give some headwind to, I haven't looked yet at Seagate, maybe STX. Do they get some wind from this? We know that NVIDIA, no. So that is dragging on them, as actually that should be the result. If the memory is not going to be big, then some of those memory names that have been up, SanDisk being another one, should be down today, and it should be helping NVIDIA and those, up, here we go. And it should be helping NVIDIA and those names that were down on that news. So that does look to be the case so far. Does look like storage definitely under pressure here this morning so far. That sector, and like I said, Seagate, SanDisk. Micron sometimes is in that area also. MU down about 2% also, and you can see the drop here since those earnings came out. So definitely seeing some stress across that whole area. A couple others that I saw that were up today that, you know, maybe we didn't think were. Airbnb has been under so much pressure. You can see here after hitting highs of about 143 back in January, they're down about 115. Bounce back here today about 6%. The vacations fourth quarter profit fell short of analyst expectations, but they gave solid revenue guidance, and that definitely is helping them so far. Another one on the miss side is DraftKings. They had their earnings and definitely going to face some stress today, down 20% in the last 2 days. Company said sales for the quarter were about 1.99 billion, which is a 43% year-over-year increase. But their EPS came in adjusted just about at 36 cents, about 3 cents short of expectations. And their guidance for 2026 revenue between 6.5 to 6.9 billion was well below what Wall Street was expecting. They were looking for about 7.3 billion. In a letter to shareholders, the CEO, Jason Robbins, said that he dedicated a lot more time towards the prediction market that they're going to launch. And I think that's what's worrying people. One of the things DraftKings had is they were a first mover when it came into first daily fantasy that then evolved into the gambling site. They're going to try to follow into prediction markets, but that could be expensive for them to get into. And that is definitely weighing a little bit on their stock so far today. Expedia is another one that was under pressure here today, down about 5.83% after their earnings. Their earnings report came in both with top line revenue and EPS beats, but people are still aware that AI's rapid developments are going to displace their business for sure. They've been under pressure for about 5 or 6 days here, pretty hard. You can see where they fell down to the lows, and they just broke below those lows, below their 200-day moving average. So Expedia, and I got to be honest, for me, it's not one of buy the dip. I know personally that I am using a lot more of AI to do those things that I would probably before used Expedia. Mr. Flanagan, how are you doing today, my friend? So that's the difference that I see there for sure. Another one that, BigBeat and I have both not been a fan of, that definitely, whoops, if I could spell that would help, is Pinterest, down about 20% here and add in the 3% yesterday. And you can see they're at 1854 right now. They're at 1475, going to open up at a 52-week low. I was looking at where they closed, not where they opened. And they haven't been this low since 2020. So if you bought the dip in 2020 and have been holding on for dear life, you have unfortunately seen it go as high as 89 and now back here at 14. Hopefully no one took that actual round trip. But Pinterest, I've never sort of gotten it. So that makes it hard for me to give you an unbiased opinion because I've never really been a fan, never even has had an account, but they missed Wall Street's earnings and revenue expectations. Their CEO said that the disappointing quarter was partly on the president's tariffs, which weighed on retail advertisers. The company also issued weaker than expected guidance moving forward. CFO Julia Donnelly told analysts yesterday that Pinterest expects these headwinds will continue and may become slightly more pronounced in quarter one. The other one that I probably didn't really think was going to be this way is Instacart Maple Beer, up about 14% here today. They reported strong revenue for their most recent quarter, and the stock has definitely popped. They said it had their strongest quarter of gross transaction value in 3 years. So, again, they expect gross transaction value, which tracks the value of all the goods sold, to range between 10 billion and 10.28 billion. That would beat the 9.97 billion estimate. Company expects adjusted earnings before interest, taxes, and everything to come in the range of 280 million to 290 million. Their revenue grew 12%. Again, their CEO, Chris Rogers, said that the technology and customer-oriented approach are driving more growth and engagement to the platform. The execution on what matters most to customers is driving strong momentum on their marketplace, as well as the enterprise platform, which is a real strategic advantage for them. Their operating expense also rose year over year due to higher general administration expense driven by non-recurring legal and regulatory matters that included a $60 million refund settlement with the FTC. So again, strong by Instacart. More people are using it. It's growing. We've seen food delivery apps like DoorDash and Uber Eats have also intensified their push into grocery delivery and added more retailers and AI features. So this is a hot, thing that we're seeing more and more of. I know I hate going to the grocery store, but I can't buy my meats and produce from those delivery services. I have no problem buying, my mouthwash, my toilet paper, your general needs, but I have to still touch and feel, the cantaloupe. I got to give it a little smack, make sure it sounds good, all those things. So I'm one of those people when it comes to that, for sure. So they don't attract me in as much. Let's see what else. If there's any other things that are moving here in the pre-market since I spoke. Oh, I didn't talk about Roku. Roku up after their earnings about 17.45%. The big news there was really around the World Cup coming, Olympics right now. What they said is in the Super Bowl that just passed, we are in this huge period of television and streaming, and they get a cut of that streaming when it comes through them. People are using them to subscribe, they said. So again, a lot of decent talk out of Roku, which was interesting because it's one that, as Steve and I had spoken about in the past, and I'll have to ask him when he comes on here in a little bit, but everybody's already sort of has their Roku devices. They sell so cheaply. Where was that revenue going to come in from? And again, the licenses to operate systems is what it was. They enable viewers to watch platforms like Netflix and Comcast Peacocks. So as investors see the shift away from traditional linear TV to streaming, it looks like a tailwind for Roku. They had robust advertised spending and rising demand for live sports streaming that should help boost revenue. They still have the Olympics that are going on now, and coming up this summer, the World Cup, which is always huge across the globe. A lot of analysts are being bullish. We saw a few raises to outperform here. Jefferies, Wedbush, both put it on their list of stocks for picks in 2026. So again, strong there. Let's run his intro, get him in here, see what's going on with my main man, BigBeat.
When markets move, Stephen E. Orr takes the chair. From the White House to Wall Street, he's spent decades at the intersection of policy, markets, and real capital. And he's seen firsthand how institutions use data behind closed doors. Now, as founder of Quasar Markets, his mission is to pull those signals into the open so everyone can see what really moves the markets. This is Stephen E. Orr, BigBeat on Wall Street. Let's filter the future live.
BigBeat, how are we doing this lovely Friday, my friend? And you're wearing a short sleeve shirt, so you already made me angry.
Yeah, sorry, man. It's going to be 81 degrees today down here. Look, you know, I did something yesterday that I hadn't done in a long time, and if you know my office at all, and I just went through a video sheet, right, as you know, and I cleaned my keyboards, I cleaned my screens, I cleaned everything, and it reminded me about the markets, like what we have to do in the market sometimes, and sometimes we just have to clean up our portfolios, right? And we have to look at those and say, okay, is this really matching what the market's doing? And I had a lot of people come to me and say, well, you know, the whole story has been tech. It still is tech. Okay, it still is. We are still using technology. Right now, we're on technology. People out there are using technology. Sorry, your video cameras and, in our case, lights and screens and new keyboards and how we're going to interact, wearables, right? All these things are still doing it. And people are still living and people are still moving. And we learned that in the CPI data today. Are you telling me, Howard, that the whole sell off was because they were worried about CPI? That's because the Fed has been saying, I'm worried about CPI. Don't fight the Fed. Don't fight the Fed. Don't fight the Fed. Give me a break.
Yeah, no,
Right?
absolutely. It came in
Now here we
benign
go. Yep.
at 2.4, expected 2.5. I've put the different sectors down there. If you take a look at them, you know, what really was up was electricity, gas utilities, and food away from home. And what's dragging it down, gas.
Every single thing that you and I have been talking about for the last 3 months. Exactly what we've been saying.
Yeah, healthcare is too expensive. You know, these things, used cars, prices are dropping. Those floodgates sort of moving the other direction. It's rotation. Wouldn't you say that, Steve? And it's rotation within tech. You know, memory was big a couple of weeks ago. You warned that memory wasn't that important. Today, we had earnings in AMAT and ANET, you know, came out and they said, hey, guess what? Memory isn't that big of a problem. We're getting it. So all those manufacturers that were beaten down are now moving back in.
Oh, it just drives me crazy. Narrative. It looks like Wall Street needs to have a narrative every day, and they don't know what the narrative is. They're making it up as they go along because you know what they're doing. I'm going to tell you exactly what's happening, folks. They're hitting the algos with these narratives. The news is doing everything it can to try to find a new narrative to make you guys think and to move the markets. And that's why I'm here. That's why you and I are here, Howard, is to make sure that people don't get screwed on this, right? Now I understand that, okay, it doesn't matter if the narrative is right or wrong. It all matters what the market does, right? Okay, I get that. Good example of that, Robinhood got absolutely beat up over one little comment that, I'm going to say it, Vlad made a mistake. He should not have. His biggest upgrade with Robinhood is chat. Okay, we've had that for a long time, so I understand that. But people are still using it, right? They're still getting lots of money for it, and it doesn't make any sense. The sell-off in Hood yesterday was absolutely asinine. I took advantage of it. So, you know, that's what I blown away by this.
Yeah, I think people were waiting for like the shoe to drop, like Coinbase or something yesterday. You know, they said, yeah, we lost money, but we're still spending money to make money and we're still doing great. And we expect to see more of this and we're doing this. And all of a sudden up 8% today, you know, with Bitcoin just sort of flat. So it's really doing, you know, it's definitely outperforming the market. Those companies, like you said, should have strength today. Look at Galaxy One, look at PayPal, all of those sort of fintechs are now going to probably move up on that Coinbase earnings. So that was good, Steve. Sell off though overseas finally happening a little bit. It looks like you took your money you said out of Japan. Others followed suit today. SoftBank got hit real hard, down about 9% when I looked earlier today. Definitely a big part of it. They, you know, this investment, again, overinvestment is not helping anybody. Even one of the largest VC, I mean, you know, SoftBank was the savior. That's what moved us up on so many of these companies, right?
I don't invest like Masa-san. Okay, I don't have that kind of money to lose. And his daddy gave him all kinds of money to lose. So, and he's been doing that for decades. Now he's done some good stuff. We all know that, and we all know he's done very well in some things. But the truth of the matter is he is really making big mistakes, and he's paid for them. He gets pulled away for certain things. So yeah, but no, I don't have Masa-san's money, so I don't dare invest like him at all. And so when people look at what companies that he's buying and selling, don't, because remember, folks, whatever he's buying, there's somebody on the other side selling. There's always a market maker. Okay, so don't. Oh, he put 50 billion, trillion, quadrillion dollars into it. Well, guess what? There's somebody on the other side of that that investment. So just be careful out there.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. There, Steve. What else are you watching this morning?
Well, I mean, for me, I think I said this earlier and yesterday. I bought into it, and I'm buying more. As you know, everybody knows I already bought more this morning. As Hood, I think it's absolutely been beaten up. But the big one for me this morning is Amazon. That is absolutely nonsense. There's no reason Amazon should be beaten up that much. If you look at it from a daily perspective, this thing has just been absolutely crushed. And if you look at it from just going back to the high there, I think the high there, the 52-week high is 258.60. It's now under 200. Okay, so I mean, that's a 25% discount, right? And why is the stock market the only place? I don't know. If you look at if you can pull up a daily chart on that, Howard, you can see that we've hit another higher low, and that to me tells me everything. So I am very heavy Amazon. I started buying it. Why? Oh, well, nobody's buying on Amazon, man. Everybody's buying on Amazon. Everybody's using Amazon. No, I'm not. I don't spend any money on Amazon. You don't. But I'm going to tell you, whatever software you're using, whatever computer you're using, is using AWS. Promise you, using it right here. I know all the companies that were involved here also have AWS and Google Cloud. So wrong, where Amazon is still strong, and their AWS is not cheap. Trust me, I know what it costs to be on AWS. So that's what I say. No, buy what you know.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and with that being said, they're down today because their Super Bowl commercial they spent so much money on has faced a lot of backlash. They thought people would be happy to see that your Ring cameras could help find lost dogs in your neighborhood. What they didn't realize that the company behind that flock under a lot of pressure in many municipalities for helping the government surveillance. So they put themselves in a tough spot here. This is going to be one that is going to, you know, it's going to affect their perception, but not their bottom line.
Yeah, maybe, but it won't affect anything. We know. Yeah. I mean, Ring is so they bought Ring with cash. The company Ring was its own private company. They bought that company with cash, folks. So Ring is not a big deal.
Yeah, like I said, it's more perception than anything that will affect their bottom line, as you mentioned there. The Mag 7 yesterday dragged us down across the board. One of the few days I've seen where it's had red across all of them. Are you looking for a bounce back? We see NVIDIA, Microsoft, and Apple looking to bounce up so far, or anything there you're thinking about?
Yeah, I mean, Amazon. I think Amazon's the one that I'm interested in. Yeah, I know it's down $1 today. But you're going to sell Amazon because of a commercial? I mean, that's just stupid. And that's what I'm saying. The algos are taking over, and I'm going to tell you, there is starting to be a lot of chatter on Wall Street about algos. Algo companies are in trouble. Now, I know they're going to say, "Oh, no, we're going to be fine." Nope. I'm going to tell you right now. And this is why politics makes a big deal. This is why concerns, right? You're going to see an absolute situation here that maybe they get pulled out, that they get put a little foot on their brakes, because it's going to happen. Because the Democrats are going to win the House back in November. I hear it's even worse now, and I don't even know if that's true. But let's be honest here, it could get really bad. And if that's the case, the SEC is going to get really nervous, and they're going to start pulling back some of those algo companies. You can't just have an algo to have an algo, right? So there's going to be some guardrails on these algos, because quite frankly, they're messing with the markets. And I think I have not completely done my quote thesis yet on this, but it's coming. And I'm going to tell you right now, I think the algo companies are going to be nervous really soon. And I don't mean in a few months. I mean like maybe a few weeks. Could happen.
Okay. Can't argue there. I don't know. That's not my expertise. Steve has the one on there. Right now, we see the Qs are down about 3 basis points, trading at $600.48. They did try to they've been rebounding since 8:30. They now have started to level off. We see the SPY up about 2 basis points here. So we are seeing a little bit of green. Dow Jones still up about 1 basis point. Also, VIX has been elevated, but off of the highs that we saw of about 2192.22 last night. And so far, advanced decline's holding up really nice. It's broadly across the market with about 1,400 to the upside. And our sectors of the S&P that were all red at 7 are now very much a mixed bag. Nothing's gone up too much. XLV, probably the biggest gainer, I think. Yeah, it is. So healthcare up about 23 basis points, and Moderna actually helping on that one. After their earnings, they are up about 1%, 2% here this morning. So that's helping. Real estate was up better earlier. It's now pulled back a little bit. So we'll see what we get here today, Steve.
I mean, one stock we can look at is Coinbase. I mean, Coin's up almost 9% here. It is up 9% now. Look, I would be very careful there with Coinbase. The bounce. It might just go right on down. I'd be very careful with Coinbase here. Yeah, I understand it's another commercial issue with Super Bowl. That's just stupid. To me, Coinbase is not based on how much price of Bitcoin is. Coinbase is based on whether or not people are trading, right? It's whether or not that they're actually making these moves. And to be honest with you, people are, right? It doesn't matter if the market's going up or down, as long as there's volatility, right? And volatility is the key, because you got to buy and sell, and there's always someone on the other side. So, I wouldn't worry too much about this, Howard. I think the market's overreacting to almost all of this right now, and I think Steve Flanagan's been nailing this. He's been saying the overreactions, right? His overreactions are out of control. So yeah.
Everything gets an overreaction to both sides. Absolutely, absolutely, without a doubt, there, Steve. A couple that surprised me today: Airbnb up 6% after their earnings. Again, they said that AI isn't really hurting them. In fact, their AI built into their systems is getting them more bookings. So Airbnb up about 6%. You looking to fade that one, or you like the continuation?
I think Airbnb could be a good play going into the summer, right? I think that's a concern as the summer time frames because of that, right? So I do think that's interesting. Yeah.
And then another one, Steve, you and I have not been a fan of has been Roku, who's up about 16.18% here today. And what I didn't realize, they make a lot of money on the pass-through of streaming costs.
They do.
So right now, when people are watching on Roku, and if they click on and they subscribe to Netflix, they get a share of that.
Correct.
So
that is correct. Yeah.
Yeah, up nicely, 16%. And they've got, we're in the Olympics right now, and then they talk to the World Cup coming. That is definitely going to help with their things there. So
yeah, and I use Roku. I mean, I
use it, but we've always talked about everybody already has it, and you don't buy another one. But they're showing us that they found new ways to get, some money in there. So I love that.
And I like that. I mean, I don't use it. I mean, I follow Bloomberg through my own TV spectrum. So it's like, I don't see anything else. That's about all I use it for. I don't really use it for anything else.
Yep, absolutely. Anything else you're looking at here, Steve? It is 9:15. I'm about to hit the road.
How about Rivian up 25%?
Oh, I can't believe I didn't do that one, because I am a fan. They're actually selling cars and making money on selling cars. I love it. Do you think that turns the corner for them? Is this actually make them a viable? Yes. I love that, because the
backlash on Tesla is very real. People are not buying as many Teslas. I was just in the BMW dealership this week, and I can tell you, I went through the dealership and they can't get hybrid cars.
Okay, which is what you like, I like. So there, that's what the answer might be. But so I was excited about that Rivian. Well, everybody, we will be off Monday for the President's holiday, so I will see you on Tuesday morning. Quasar Markets, good luck, Big Beat. Have a great trading day, my man.
Okay, let's get to it. Let's get to some charts. I think that's what people want to see today, and let's go do that. And let's start out with the Rivian. I think that was a good one, right? I think we just talked about that, so let's do that. And if there's any out there you guys want to look at, let me know. I'm happy to do that. Pull up Rivian here. All right. Yeah. And let's pull up a monthly chart. As I always like to go out, when in doubt, what? Scroll out. They're a new company, right? They've not been around very long, only 3 years. And this is a company that got up all the way up to 177, and you can literally buy the company at 17 bucks. And now that they're profitable, that's very interesting to me. So just where are they on the board? Well, they're at that last selling point there. So that's why you're starting to see a little bit of no more push today and timed out. But we could go all the way back up. 22 is what I'm looking at. Right at the bottom of that in the daily charts. And you can see the turn. This is before the numbers came out. So somebody knew something about it before it came down. That's what happened. All right. Yeah, of course. BYD. Yeah. And if you want Boyd Gaming, of course, we always want to look at who's gambling. Let's pull up a 3-hour chart on this one. Because why? Because that's what Wall Street uses. I'm going to pull it up and I'm going to tighten it up. So, okay. So Zora, let me know if this comes to you a little bit cleaner, right? All right. There you go. I think Boyd Gaming is probably look. It's all about gaming revenue right now and growing. It's very interesting to me, right? You're actually somewhere near the 52-week range, but yesterday was a big sell-off. Could be a nice bounce. You can see where some of the buying opportunities are down here. So yeah, I'm liking Boyd here from a technical analyst position here. Probably just a little bit. Could wait another day or so. Might want to wait through it, but to me, here's what I see. If I can do this right, there you go. So I'm starting to see like a little bit of a hold here. You can see right here where the tops are, you know, and the tops are all the same. They're pretty violent, right? These bounces are violent. Could see a nice violent bounce back up a little bit, probably around 85, 86. So, you know, if you're looking to play options, probably you can. To me, it seems that you could probably go to about I don't know, a couple months out, 85, and looking pretty good. You can see here where that sell off there happened, but this was only a couple months, so the violence could be right back up. You can see where the bounces are fast, and it seems like there's a lot of shorts in this market. So yeah. There's a lot there on that chart. There is. I love it when people say to me, do you understand charting? And I kind of look at them like, I do. Yes, I do. In fact, I teach charting, as everybody knows. But I want to make sure everybody understands again why it's important. Because it's not the most important thing, right? If somebody tells you that charts are the only greatest thing, it's not. All right. Sorry, my charts on the other side are messed up now. Okay. All right. Anything else somebody wants to look at here? Let me know. I'm happy to look at them. Turn off the banners here for the. There we go. All right. I do want to. We got about looks like about 9 minutes here. This morning I saw some comments. Oh, the market looks weak here. I don't think it does, to be honest with you. I think the market's done its weakness. I think the weakness is seeping into the markets. My numbers are still there. You can see where the sellers were, and they sold off. Look, it's still in linear regression, the 3 hour. It's right where it's at. If I pull up the 1 hour, tighten it up just a wee bit, you can see we're starting to turn around and bounce back. We're starting to see some bounce in here. And at the end of the day yesterday, they got the sell-off they wanted on the silly narrative that they made up, to be honest with you. It's because the narrative was all about CPI data, and all of a sudden inflation's in check. So now I think we turn around and we go back up. And I think we test some things here, maybe 620-ish. 616, 617, and then get right back up here to 629. So this turn here is looking pretty good. The numbers are giving me the right thing. And of course, with the MACD histogram looking pretty good. You can see that with the volume over the last few hours was very strong to the downside, and that's what made me nervous. Right, this was the thing that got me, and what it did was it just mirrored what happened back on the 6th. So here we go. You know, a week later, nothing. If I pull this tighter, you can still see the same thing, right? So they've tested the bottoms. They can't seem to do it. Man, my news must be going crazy here. But the yeah, Charlie Bolello just making a post here. I like this post. I'm going to post it for you guys too as well. I'll make a banner here for you. It's where are all of the, there you go. There you go. Below the all-time high. Apple only down, 9% off the all-time high. NVIDIA, Google 12% off. Amazon 23%. That's what I'm saying. Like you're getting discounts here. Netflix 44% down. These are discounts, right? So people are saying, well, it's the narrative here, right? So MicroStrategy, and it's the feeling of what people are thinking right now. So for me, this looks like a lot to me, and a buying opportunity, not the selling opportunity. Yeah. All right. Yeah, hood still pushing here. Looks like 72.86 now. Yeah, up 1.74. Now I know that some of you guys probably got into hood because of me yesterday. I think we'll get right back up into it today. It's a 1 minute chart. Look at that. We got up to like 74, almost 74 here. So it's a little violent. Be careful. You can see people are just playing around with it, but I think we push right back up today. Is my Amazon, is it green just yet? Not yet. Not yet. NVIDIA is trying to make that turn. See, you're making that turn here. I like this. The 1 hour chart. Again, there you go. Making the turn. So I think the selling is done. I think the narrative of inflation is over. The Fed needs to change their tune. Enough of this nonsense. Their narrative has been wrong and stayed wrong. So, yeah. Kremlin says that there'll be no Europeans at its Geneva talks. Wow. Interesting. Wonder why. Because they're yeah. That's very interesting there. So maybe they are trying to make a deal here, but doing it between the United States and us. So I don't know. That would be very positive, though, folks, if that's the case. So, if we're seeing this like this, then it could be very positive. All right, we got about 4 minutes now to the open, cash open, I should say. Let's see where the retail is. See what they're thinking. Algos don't play very well, as you know, in the pre-markets because they have the limit orders, right? It's much easier for algos to just put market orders in. So people ask me why this is happening, and there you go. That's what I'm saying. Like, get rid of some of these computers. Get back to normal trading here. I think we'll all be a lot happier. All right, we're getting ready to go here. Got about 3 minutes now to the open. Yeah, Putin's envoy Dmitriev says he will attend the talks in Geneva. So it looks like it's a very Russian, very U.S. centric. Wow. Okay. Well, at least there's some talk, and that's good. All right, let's get these cues on board here, loaded up. And let's get the 5-second charts. Why not? Go 1 second chart. Under 600 now on the Qs. That's options. All right, 72.49 now, up 1.37 on Robinhood. I don't, let's see what they do here. I think they're making a mistake if they short today, because I think they'll catch them off guard here today. All right, 90 seconds here. Let's see if I can tighten up these screens for everybody here a little bit. Oh, there we go. You don't need to see my face. You already know what it looks like. All right, we're over the 600 handle here now. I think this is some serious buying here going into this. Okay, it's 37. We got about 45 seconds here. $25 seconds here. And we are seeing some buyers stepping in here a little bit. Some shorts maybe covering a little bit, looks like. All right, here we go. We are open now. First is the downside, of course. Sellers, obviously, because they don't know what to do themselves. But fairly quiet there. 600 handle, right? It's options. And now they're getting burnt. So let's burn them. $600 handle is holding steady, and that's where the fight is, and it's options, right? It's tick is now 162 here. Tick's up 143. Advanced decline plus 1,755 with 1,800 now to the upside. So we should have a fairly imbalanced positive day here. All right. But the fight is here. Yeah, there's Coinbase now pulling back a bit. I had a feeling that was going to happen. And that's retail, folks. That's the nonsense that happens. So let it happen. They couldn't get out before the pre-market. They don't have the accounts, right? And so because of that, they have to get out in the market, cash market. I want to know what the bigger money's doing. And bigger money is buying hood right now. There you go, 73. Can we go on higher? Tick up 235 here. And spot gold now back over 5,000 handle here. Tick up 253. Advanced decline now at 2,400. So should have a slightly bullish day here. Should be good. Unity Software back to 20 bucks a share now. Palantir up a little bit here on some of that sell-off yesterday. Yeah. So yeah, I'm looking for where the big money is. All right. Where's the big money doing? Not the small money. Big money says, screw you. We're buying cheap shares of Hood. Tick now up 250 here. But remember, it's gonna be a very quiet day. Remember, there's no market Monday, so holiday. Yeah, coin continuing to sell off here a bit. Yeah. And 654, right there it is. QQQ 600.544. Still can't. It's just weak. It's right here, right? I mean, you see where the bounces are, right? Very quiet day today. Let's look at NVIDIA. NVIDIA slipping a bit here too. Ooh, NVIDIA getting down my numbers here. Palantir at 129. Interesting here. Remember, Michael Burry has got a short on Palantir, so I think I want to take advantage of him. I am buying a little bit more Amazon here, folks. I'm really liking these this Amazon here. Yeah, I bought more Amazon here. Palantir is still slipping a little bit here. Now, this is getting right into the numbers here where the buyers could be stepping back in here. Not quite there yet. This is a weekly chart. So if you're looking, this is where we could start to see some support here, right? Show you what I mean. There you go. That right there. That resistance back in the early part of last year. Now, this was February of 18. So last year, right? That could become support for now. That's what usually happens. Resistance becomes support. And so here you go. So I think this is where support starts to mediate a little bit. Qs are pushing down a little bit. Yeah, Hood's chilled out a little bit, tick now down 65. So let's see if we can turn that tick around and get back up there. Advanced decline is still positive by 1855. So I think we're still pretty good. Palantir 128 now. Tick down 400 now as the market's starting to get weak again. But positive, still advanced decline is still up. Tick down off the charts there for me there a little bit. Tick down 500 now. Tick down 660. It's down 700 now. Ah, here goes Hood. Ouch. Tesla getting smacked here a little bit. Rivian pulled back a little bit there. Tick still down 620. Could see a pop back up here. Whatever that selling was, I don't know what that selling was. I mean, the WTO chief says that we need to reform many of the things with the world trading system. Okay. Maybe it's a silly headline that popped into the algos. Selling still picking up a little bit on the Qs here. I think we're gonna see a little bounce here. Actually, I think I'm gonna buy a little bit more here. Yeah, there's a little bit of a bounce. 10-year now, 4.052%. Tick down 400 here, starting to push back up a little bit. Advanced decline now, minus 26. So now in that boat. Yeah, pushing right back up here. I'm going to buy a little bit more Amazon here on this dip here. $72.26 now. There you go. $72.50 now on Robinhood there. I like that. Clean them out. $72.65, $72.70. Now we do have a lower high here in this 5-second chart. I'm going to pull up a 3-minute chart. Why? That's what Wall Street uses. They're out of the bounds, as we all know, because it's crazy. But I think we push right on up. There you go, 72.81. There you go, 73. Come on. Yeah. Didn't get scared. QQQ right back to 600 here. It's a big fight here at 600. For those of you who are asking about Steve Flanagan, he'll be back here next week, sorry. Starting on Wednesday. He's off on vacation and doing some pretty good stuff. He's actually having chats. Micron down 4%. Yeah, looking at that now, James. Yeah, I mean, I'm robbing Peter to pay Paul pretty much here. What's happening here? We're taking some of the money out of these chipsets, which we said was not a problem. Chips are coming out, so it's not a big deal. Oh, look at that. Hood is really moving now. Could we hit the high of the day? 73.31 would be the high of the day. We're at 73.19. There we go. Just hit the high of the day in the cash session. Now we just got to push through that, right? And we're about to do that. 73.55 now. Hopefully didn't get nervous on that dip. Bought the dip. So to break the morning pop there, 74, we could get it all the way up. This thing could run all the way back today from what happened yesterday. $602.06 now in the Qs. So that's what I'm saying. Like, this is a positive by 415 tick. It's like it's all algo right now. And you can see where the sellers popped in right there. It's right. So we got to break through that. Whatever that is, 73.78, which I think we can do here. Tick up 400. Tick up 286. Could have found a range here so far. So this could be the range that everybody's looking at for the Qs. Let's see if we can break through here. Q's trying to break. Amazon is pushing. And if we can get Amazon green, that might change the Nasdaq. Nasdaq has just turned green, by the way. The Dow is just about to turn green here. Nasdaq did turn green here. So tells you they're completely clueless about what's going on here. So Come on, Hood. Let's push. There you go. One more little push to the upside, and we got her. There you go. Q's now pushing now. Come on, break that, break it, break it, break it. Or as we used to say in Wall Street, woo! Amazon only now down 30 cents now. All right, Q still trying to push here. Tick up 212. Markets now see a 30% probability of a Fed rate cut by April and more than 80% chance by easing by June. I mean, I agree with that. You know, look, Fed's completely lost, and Mira doesn't have control yet. So, and Warsh isn't in. So there's, you know, but if Mira and Warsh get together and start talking to them, then it could be quicker. Here we go. Bitcoin almost 68,000 here. So if we can break, if we get above that 68 handle, we could really push here. I think the shorts are going to get crushed here very soon. But it's a very quiet day. So it's another quiet day, but now we got a little more clarity on inflation. We got a little more clarity on the Fed. So not much because the Fed's about, they're off the rocker right now. But gold now below 5,000 here. And we're seeing the 10-year now dropping again here, 4.064. Robinhood could not push. Okay, all right. Tick now down 400. So I'm saying the algos are really in control right now. So just be careful out there. Normal traders are not in control today. Dixie now 96 now. Tick is about to go positive here, minus 240 here. Let's see if it goes positive here. Q's now below the 600 handle here. Again, that's options trading. That's 0 DTEs, and it could be algos right there. This is exactly what I mean. Be careful out there. On a quiet, fairly quiet day too, by the way. Eli Lilly 1,056 right now. Lockheed Martin up almost 2% here on the day. Tick now flat. Could have another run here. Advanced decline now positive by 1,400 again. Dollar yen at 153 now is the Dixie starting to slip again. All right, here we go. Another shot at it. See if we can't break the tops here, folks. Woo! Let's do it. There it is. Now break, break, break. Come on. There it is. And right on up. 74 bucks. There you go. Right to the top of the linear regression there on the 1 minute chart. Look at that. So if you don't think that the algos are playing along, they're playing along. Tick now only up 91 right now. Dollar is pushing a little higher here, almost 97 here now. Spot bill trying again to 5,000. Amazon also trying here as well. Let's make a little pop to the upside here. Come on, let's go. Oh, nothing. It's a quiet day, folks. It's a very quiet day. But we're making some money. That's all that matters, right? Quite a bit of money, actually, today. There we go. There we go. There we go. Come on, Hood. Boom. Boom. There you go. Hello, Mamma Mia. Sometimes it's a little too easy. Okay, I am selling a little bit of my hood up here. Yeah, sold a little bit of my hood up here because I was a little heavy, but I'm still long, so I'm not changing my thesis there. Just I was a little too heavy, and that just lowered all of my I'm in profit now, big time. So like that. Come on, Amazon. Let's get green on the day. Dow, NASDAQ, flat on the day. S&P, fairly flat too. So if you're listening today, we're making money. That's all that matters, right, folks? Look at that. See that selling there in Hood? Yeah. I had a feeling that was coming. It's a nice little pop to the upside. Take some profit off, but stay in the game. All right. Q's now below 600 again. Dollar's now above the 97 handle here. Could make another run at this here. 2 minutes now at the top of the hour. Yeah. This could be a pop to the upside here. The daily chart looking turning on this one here. Hood. Bitcoin making another run at 68,000 here. Let's see if we can do it. Back above 74 again on Hood. Coinbase now up almost 9% here, and that dip in the morning, but they bought right back up. You can see where the buyers and the sellers are. The lines are really very clear. Could make another run here. Yeah, we're going to make another run here, folks. All right, it's top of the hour. I'm gonna hold off this run. I'm gonna see this run to the finish line. Come on, baby, let's go. Let's break that high. 74.43, the high there on the day on Hood. Let's see if we can break it. Let's see if we can do it. There are some sellers up there for sure, but I think we can do it. Here we go. Some big players in here, folks. Tick up 280 now. Yeah, there's a big player in here somewhere. It's Kathy Woods. Love her. Let's get it. Can we do it? Can we break it? Broken. Now let's see if we can do it again. Broken. 74.47 now, the highs of the day. Tick up 350. It is definitely struggling up there though. But I don't think we can go and look at the run at this. There it goes. Come on, 74.47. Break that, break that, break that. There must be some sellers at 74.50 up there that they're seeing spoofing up there. All right, it's top of the hour. It's now 10 o'clock. We'll let everybody go, but we'll be right back here on Tuesday. We have Crazy Markets Live has a lot coming up, and we have something new coming up fairly soon, the next few weeks. And I am preparing you right now for next Friday, big day next Friday here. So don't want to give the surprise away just yet, but it's going to be a huge day here at Quasar Markets. And make sure you're tuning in next Friday, all day Friday. All right, from those of you here at Quasar Markets, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you right back here.